Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's original new series called The Society. So The Society is about this group of young men and women who are transported to a facsimile of their town. So it's an exact replica down to the minute details. It's a town that seems to be in the middle of nowhere. There are no parents. They are completely blocked off by woods, seemingly. It is 10 episodes long. Each is about 45 minutes to 50 minutes long, and it's about this journey of these kids, of how they are going to survive and what they're going to do for 10 long episodes. I should mention that this is basically a modern retelling of Lord of the Flies, and if you know anything about Lord of the Flies, with the kids on the island, then everything goes wrong and it eventually escalates, and this series does the same. But I should also say I found this series really hard to get through. I do feel like they took a long time getting to points in the storyline of what they wanted to do, and where it went in story is where I was hoping they would do only part of it and then delve deeper into the mystery of how they got into this place, who took them there, why they took them there. This series feels very similar to things we've had. It's a very CW show, if that makes any sense. So there are shows like The 100, which I really enjoy. There's Riverdale, which I think is great. It's filled with teen angst.
Do you want chaos?
And like who loves who and whose relationship is going to develop into what, and what happened before, and whose parents were sleeping with who, and someone's going to get murdered and killed and betrayal. There's lots of that kind of Desperate Housewives soap opera stuff going on, and you do get that a lot in Riverdale and The 100, but the core premise and the arc of the stories of these shows are normally the kind of science fiction or fantasy or some sort of kind of mystery that really drives the whole show. And unfortunately this show has that premise, so they've been put into this new kind of development, this new place, this new home that's theirs but not theirs, but they don't really investigate much about that, and it really frustrated me, because I thought, for me, when I saw the trailer, that was the most exciting thing about the story. I thought, wow, okay, so what's going to happen? Is it going to, is it going to be aliens? Is it going to be sci-fi? Is it going to be fantasy? Or are they being kidnapped? God forbid that they're dead and they're going to do a lost thing, like 7 seasons time. It's it's going to end with them, they're already dead. Spoilers, sorry, but if you haven't seen Lost by now, you're probably not going to watch it. But yeah, so I'm really hoping it's not going to be like Lost. The end of the 10th episode, there is a lot more to come by the looks of it, that they're going to draw out the series for many more seasons, or that at least what it feels like. So it's not contained in storyline at all. Anyway, so that's about the arc. Let me get into the acting and the kind of the story without doing any spoilers.
Where is everyone?
So you've got these two groups that immediately form, and this kind of like in Lord of the Flies, you get these people that want to control everything. You get these young woman that wants to help, and you get the what I would consider to be the smart people that want to do the food counting, the resources, how to go about living life.
We're all alone.
How to develop your skills with things that you don't have. And so you got this one group, and then you got the other group that wants just chaos and wants to do their own thing. And you have a few minor other groups teetering around on the edge. And this kind of storyline and these characters develop and they kind of mash in together. I do think it's an interesting premise with the questions that the creator obviously wants you to ask. Like, if you got a chance again to do society your way, how would it evolve? Would you do anything different to what we do now? If you had to make your own government, your own rules, who decides what is right and wrong? What is your moral understanding? Your upbringing will influence those around you, and whose voice carries the strongest weight? Are you going to carry the strongest weight through violence or through actual, being moralistic? And like I said, what is your moral? So it does get you to ask those questions, and I think that's good. And I'm glad they played that in this. And I think the acting is pretty good from most of them. You do get some stronger actors and weaker actors, as you do in series like this. And and there were times when I was particularly riveted in storylines. So there's one particular actor who is deaf and gay, and then he has a relationship with a woman who, I don't want to spoil that, but he has a relationship with a woman, he's best friends with her, and their relationship and on-screen dialogue I thought was probably part of the strongest. Then there is also the kind of bad guy psychopath in the series, which I thought his storyline was the most interesting out of the 10, because it wasn't up until I think episode 4.5, 5 that I really started to engage a little with the storyline, because this kind of psychopath played more of a deeper storyline in these 10 episodes. I was pretty bored after the initial premise. Sorry, I'm spitting at the camera. Bored after the initial premise after these groups get transported into their new town, but the same town. And I wouldn't say bored, but I lost interest because there wasn't anything to grip me. There wasn't a character that was like, yeah, that's the guy I'm really interested to find out about. Even though the psychopath is the character that I feel like is most interesting in the storyline, there are other characters that I thought were well acted. But I have to say, it does feel drawn out. I feel like this 10 episode series could have been 5 or 6. It could have been a mini-series. If they did decide to go and deal more with what's going on in the outside of this series, what's happening, how they got there, if they went that way, I think that would have probably been a better way to go. I feel like they're saving that all for the subsequent series. So I'm in two minds. On one hand, you've got this kind of Lord of the Flies. They're asking the questions. I think it's fairly well acted, although very drawn out. On the other hand, there's the storyline that I really wish they would go for. So I don't really know how to rate this. I think it's filmed well, it's acted kind of well, it is really drawn out in places. I like some of the acting roles. There were moments that riveted me, and there were other moments I was like, just get on with it. I'm interested to know what you guys thought. This is obviously not my demographic. I am, a middle-aged man now, I guess. But this is aimed at mature. It's not teen, or at least that's what it says in the Netflix description. Normally you get these different age ratings. This is not for teens, it says. It's mature, so you're getting the younger 20s, I guess. They're forming relationships that are more mature than teens, I guess. So I can relate to it somewhat, but there were times when I just thought, wow, this is just, why would you make those certain choices now? I also feel like they escalated situations very quick, and I do wonder that maybe that these young people would wait a few more months or maybe a year or two before they got to the situation that they do very quickly. I feel like it escalates more than I would have liked. I also feel like in that situation people would make better choices.
Careful.
But maybe that's just me. Maybe I just have a better feeling of humanity when you get pushed into a corner like that, or you have to come together to survive. I don't see why you would waste certain resources and things that way. So yeah, as you can see, I was quite conflicted with this series. It's partly good and it's partly crap. So I'm going to give it a middle of the row score. I'm going to give it a C plus, a C minus, because at some points it goes high and some points it goes low. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below. I'm eager to chat to you about it. Thanks for watching my review. Do look out for more. I've got others coming, loads more. Thanks Netflix for giving me the 10 episodes to review. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.